everyone, I'm Miss B and welcome back to the art room. Today we're going to be going over rules and procedures to help us keep the art room running smoothly. The first thing we want to talk about is our new art treasure chart. Treasure chart is something we can earn as a class. If we follow the prompts on the treasure chart as a class, we can earn a point for those. The class with the most points at the end of the quarter, each student in that class will receive 10 Blue Jay bucks. Let's go take a look at the chart. This is our art treasure chart. So a few things we want to accomplish during our art time. Stay at our assigned tables. Keep a level 1 volume. Clean up after ourselves. Don't waste the art materials. Put all supplies back correctly. Use respectful language. Line up quietly and come in quietly. Completing all of these tasks as a class will earn us 8 points for that class period. If we skip one, we don't get a point for it. Again, at the end of the quarter, the class with the most points will receive the 10 Blue Jay bucks. Let's talk about how the art room is going to run. So when we come in, we want to come in and sit quietly. I'm going to take attendance first. I'm going to take attendance this year to get to know you better as students, but also to keep track of what projects you've done already and haven't done already. After we take attendance, we will meet as a class to review all the projects that we're doing. Sometimes we'll have an all-group project, and sometimes we'll have separate projects. So let's make sure we're not touching anything when we come into the art room and waiting patiently for instructions. So after we review all of our projects, and it is a multi-project day, that's when you'll be allowed to choose which project you do. We want to make sure we keep a low noise level. That way you guys can hear me if I'm giving instructions. You can hear if somebody else has a question that you may also have a question about. You can hear the answer. We can also listen for drills. So that would be fire drills and weather drills. As a teacher, part of my job is keeping you safe. So keeping you safe means knowing where you are and what you're doing at all times. So yes, we have 2 restrooms that you can use. Just ask before you go so I know where you are. We'll be using the timer system again. So once our timer goes off at the end of our class period, let's make sure we stop what we're doing, even if we're not finished, and get cleaned up. I'll talk more about this in a minute, but all supplies have a place, so let's make sure all supplies get put back in their right home. Once everybody's cleaned up, your table needs to sit nice and quiet so I know that we're ready to go. So let's talk about cleanup. Again, we want to listen for that timer and stop what we're doing. If we're at a table with paint or water, we want to make sure that we clean up all paint from the table, the floor, and the sinks, as well as any water left behind. Make sure your sponges are all clean, as well as your paintbrushes. Keeping our paintbrushes clean, make sure that we have supplies and tools all the way to the end of the school year. If you're using aprons, don't forget to hang them up. If you're at a table using pencils or colored pencils, we want to make sure that we sharpen those before we leave. We also want to make sure that we put the caps on all of our markers.
Because a marker without its cap is dead. Don't be a marker murderer.
As you can see, I've also color-coded our art caddies. So every table will have their own caddy with the supplies needed to complete the project at that table. All of our crayons can lay down in the larger compartment of our caddy, right here. And we want to make sure that our markers are standing up, all caps on, and our pencils are standing up, all sharpened. This year I've made sure that we have a broom, so we also want to make sure that all scrap paper is cleaned up off the floor. Any paper we don't want to take home with us is put in the garbage, and that we sweep up after ourselves. Now, we won't be sweeping into a dustpan, but we do want to make a nice pile that can be put into the garbage. Once your table is finished cleaning, make sure you're sitting quietly so that I know we're ready to line up. Once we're in a quiet line, we can go ahead and start putting our marks on our treasure chart to see how many points we've earned for that day. As long as we're being responsible, respectful, and safe within the art room, we're going to learn a lot and we're going to create a lot. So with that being said, let's get into our first project.